Hi, and welcome to the Secular Homeschool Revolution. I am your host, Ashley. I am so grateful that you're here with me today. This is my 18th episode, and this is my first video episode or vlog. And I'm nervous about it. So I joined a newbies podcast group. Well, I joined several of them, and most of the groups are super encouraging. You can submit your podcast episodes and they can give you feedback. I got mostly good feedback. Some constructive criticisms that I received was just to make sure I don't ramble, which I know I ramble, and see if I can edit that out. Some of the dead noise in the back, which I'm learning how to do. But the biggest feedback was that I should do a video podcast because I'm receiving pretty consistent growth and maybe the people want to see me. I thought that's what my Instagram was for. And I was scared, and I received that feedback actually several weeks ago. But I was like, well, I don't have like a super aesthetic background. Mind you, I have a lot of kids and we homeschool, so you use your space a lot. And me and my husband joke that we aren't buying anything new or nice because our kids don't know how to appreciate new and nice. But I was like, you know what? I don't need to worry about that. Just use what I got, make it work, do it dirty. So do it dirty means just lay it out there in the podcasting vernacular, which I learned in my newbies podcasting groups. So this is me putting myself out there, doing it dirty with what I got. These are my headphones and my microphone. I even have a ring light. And I also was nervous about it because I'm tech savvy, but not that tech savvy. Like with this podcast, I'm constantly learning something new. So for instance, today I learned how to hook up my microphone and my headphones to my Google Pixel. I have a Google Pixel 7 Pro. I left iPhone for Google and I don't regret it. And I've had iPhones, I think, since 2011, 2012, but I really like my Google. Nobody else has an Android in my family. They're all iPhone users and I don't regret it. But again, it was a learning curve on how to connect my microphone and my headphones to my phone using a wired connection. Like I had to get other wires to make it work. And so the editing of a video podcast seemed daunting, overwhelming, and I was like, we're just gonna try it. And if it doesn't work, then I could just rip the audio from here and just make it a regular audio podcast. So thank you guys for growing with me and learning, and I'm trying to be as transparent on my journey as much as possible. Maybe it'll encourage someone else to do a podcast or YouTube channel. Speaking of that, so I now have like 12 subscribers on my YouTube, and I have 18 5-star reviews on my Spotify. I do have to work on getting on to Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, which I keep putting it on my to-do list and I still haven't done it. I will get there. And I have been listened to in over 16 different countries. Pretty cool. I haven't had that much subscriber growth. I think I've gained like 2 or 3 since last week, but those are 2 or 3 people who are invested in the Secular Homeschool Revolution, so I don't want to take that for granted. I just haven't had huge leaps and bounds with growth as far as that goes, but I also have been officially played or listened to over 1,000 times with my episodes combined. So I think it's pretty dope. I'm pretty proud of myself. And me being proud of myself and celebrating myself is definitely, again, an area of growth for me, because I never was like wanting to celebrate myself or anything that I've done. I think it was in that space of being small, but I don't want to be small no more. I don't want to be quiet. I want to take up space. I want to be loud. I want to be as confident in myself as the people who are loud and wrong. So, and I feel pretty confident in the things that I'm talking about, but and I'm also open to the constructive criticism, which I have received in my personal Instagram and in my Instagram page already that's been up, and I have 107 followers on my Instagram. I know I ramble, but today's topic is going to focus on how to navigate family and friends who don't support your homeschooling decision, and how you can be confident in telling them to mind their own business. I fortunately have a supportive family, but I have a lot of friends who are in traditional education who are not supportive of homeschooling. So I definitely had to deal with it from that end. So I'll be excited to dig into it. I already gave you guys a slight podcast update. I wanted to give you guys a personal life update. So from last week, we all knew Parker's birthday was this week and she had a surgery. So for her birthday, she wanted to do a shopping spree and to go eat Peking duck. Her favorite book, the Front Desk series, they talk about eating Peking duck a lot. So she was super curious. So we were like, okay. Now, for the shopping spree, me and Anthony, my husband, definitely had to think about that because that seemed exuberant. But I think what got us was the fact that she was going to have a pretty intense surgery on her legs and she'd be wheelchair bound for several weeks. And that parent guilt weighed in on us and we said yes. And it was a moment. So, we get up, we always decorate the house the night before whoever's birthday it is, and we get birthday donuts in the morning, and she was like up and ready by like 7:30. But we didn't plan to go to Target until like, 10 or 11. And so the deal was she wanted 10 minutes to shop. We negotiated her down to 5 minutes to shop. So she got 5 minutes to look around the store and then 5 minutes to shop. So we recorded her. She wanted to record it for her Facebook. She has a Facebook page that's only family and like some homeschool parents, but it's all just family. She doesn't have that many. She wanted to do that. And for her Caps Cut, she's into Caps Cut editing. So, and I let her make TikTok videos, but it's associated on my phone, so I monitor it closely. And so she wanted content. So we recorded her. You guys, she said it's not super viral, but she got 37,000 views and like 4,000 likes. Most of the comments were super positive. She ended up hitting up I thought her anxiety was going to kick in and she'd like freeze or flip. I think I would, because we saw some kids on YouTube where they like completely froze up and they just got like overwhelmed and panicked. I kind of thought that was going to happen to her and it didn't. So she went straight for the music aisle, straight for K-pop albums and Taylor Swift albums. And you guys, this whole, I think it started from the K-pop albums, but where these artists release the same album with different covers, but it's the exact same album, is ridiculous. That is a huge money grab. I didn't understand that till we were like going through it. And I was like, that's insane. But the kids like to compare that they have all the different album art and covers. I'm like, print it on a printer. But anyway, so yeah, I have a big issue with the music industry in that way. But they're lining their pockets because my kid wanted every single, Tortured Poets Society album cover. And then she did like Monster High dolls and she did like a Rubik's Cube because she thinks, her friend's going to teach her. So anyway, so she did pretty well in 5 minutes. She absolutely didn't freeze up. Then we went to eat lunch. And she got to try Peking duck. And then she came home and she got to film her own unboxing videos. So she said it was the greatest birthday ever. And then the next day she went in for her surgery. and she's been in mostly positive spirits. I think as you can be when your legs are double casted. And we got her a recliner so she could sleep. She has had her Letha here all week, who leaves today. Letha, my mom, she's always so kind and so supportive of Parker and all the things Parker wants to be and do. And she's just that Letha. And so it's been overall a good week. But yeah, so she posted the video and she got 37,000 views. And that, I felt it was interesting. It was weird that, 37,000 people got to view her experience. And a goal of hers is to go viral, but most of the content she posts are like CapCuts edits of her favorite WNBA players and K-pop. And so it was, I know me and my husband still have to like talk that through. But she was excited. It made her day. She's been vibing off of that. But yeah, social media is so interesting. I know I've read a lot of the surveys and all of the things, but I'm like, is this parent to give their kids full access to social media without having discussions, without monitoring them? Because I know when I worked in a school, these kids were completely unmonitored on their devices. I know we had several parent-teacher conferences where their parents didn't even know their unlock code for their phone. So I don't know. It's hard because I want to embrace technology. I don't want to give her access to social media when she turns 18, because I know I was tripping. And I remember getting suspended in high school. I think this was when Zanga came out, and we were posting pictures on Zanga, and I want to say it was a little bit before MySpace got big, and we were posting pictures of, underage drinking, and we ended up getting suspended, a bunch of friends, for social media inebriation. And it just was like this wild world to have this much access to the world without any guidance. And so that, again, might be me parenting from like this inner child place where I want her to be able to navigate the internet, the big wide world of the internet, in a positive way without her being scared of it or not knowing of all of the unknowns. I'm not sure. This, parenting is, I think, a theory that we're all trying to navigate through, and none of us have experienced the internet the way that we're experiencing it right now. So it's a lot. But that's just our journey with our kid. Everyone parents differently and how they want to navigate the internet and the world and social media. But yeah, so let's get into today's topic. So before we can dive in on how to defend ourselves against the family and friends and their negative comments, we should understand where it's coming from. Because ultimately, your friends and your family wants what's best for you, what's best for the kids. And we can't sit up here and act like there are not so many negative stereotypes around homeschooling, lots of misconceptions around homeschooling. So that's the information that they've received on what it looks like. And while it's annoying and offensive, I feel like it's our job to just educate them, right, on why we chose this path. My family was super supportive. Well, at least they were to my face. No one said nothing to me, maybe behind my back. But no, they usually support everything that I do. I think that they trust me, and as a parent with my kids, they usually are so supportive of everything that I do. But like I said, I have friends who are traditional educators, who are teachers, who are educational leaders, who work at like Texas Education Agency, and they pretty much all said, homeschooling is not the move. What about socialization? What about academic achievement? What about them missing out on traditional school experiences? What about college? can they go to college being a homeschooler? And again, I feel like nothing that they were concerned about or asked about weren't valid. They were valid concerns. So it took a lot of patience on my end to just help inform them, help educate them that the traditional education system isn't a one size fits all. And with the current policies being passed in especially Texas education, I just didn't want to be complicit or complacent with the thing. So if me and my husband could figure out or how to navigate to make this work for our family, we were, because we truly believed in the research that we were doing for homeschooling. And at the end of the day, we did try traditional public education schools. We did try charter. We did try private. So it's not like we didn't, for at least our experience, our journey, we didn't exhaust different options. But now, this is going into like the 7th year, I haven't received as much. I haven't received anything. Especially like when we post about the co-op, it's a lot of like, wow, this is incredible. That's amazing. But it took a while to get there. So let's go into our segment 2 on what we can do. And I apologize if you hear my son in the background. Like I told you guys, I usually do this at like 1 o'clock in the morning, but I'm doing it during the day where he's loud and awake and running around. So thank you for your understanding. Okay, so when you can educate, segment 2 is going to be about educating and informing, the people giving negative and unsolicited advice. So whenever you're educating and informing, this isn't, you can choose to do it, but I definitely think it's helpful to like change the narrative around homeschooling. This isn't you having to prove a point. This is just like, oh, I see that you lack information in this area. Let me provide you resources. And it's up to you if you want to dig into listening to some podcasts, reading through this interview, this article, watching some YouTube experiences of kids who were previously homeschooled. Because if they really wanted to know more about it, you can offer them the resources and they can use it. So like, for example, on, khanacademy.org, it's a very well-respected website you can use for practice, whether it's like English language arts, it's most famous for math. They have a really great article that discusses how homeschoolers are sought after by college admissions. Homeschoolers traditionally test higher on SAT and ACT scores. And that was just found, with a quick Google search. And so people are like, wait, what? And also the application for homeschoolers isn't that much different from traditional public school kids. They have access to taking ACTs, SATs, doing dual credit, taking CLEP tests. It is, if they want to go to college, they can. If they want to choose a trade school, they can. If they want to start a business, they can. It definitely does not limit them. And I always get so nervous, and I do want to say, wow, especially being in the state of Texas where, homeschooling isn't, there's no checkpoints for it. You don't have to check in with anyone. There are kids who do experience educational neglect. They have abusive home situations. And unfortunately, there's very limited things you can do here in the state of Texas. But I do want to respectfully acknowledge those experiences. Those aren't necessarily my kids' experiences, but though that is happening. And I don't want to take their truth away from them. But there are several positive homeschooling experiences that are happening. I know because homeschooling, I think, is so much part of my world, I'll have random conversations and I will, someone's like, oh, I was homeschooled. And I'm like, what is your experience? For me personally, I've come across more people who had positive homeschooling experiences than I have negative, but I also have gone down the Reddit homeschooling thread. I survived homeschooling, healing through homeschooling trauma, and man, that's hard. So we do have to acknowledge those experiences. Another thing, as far as like socialization is, I think, up to the parents as much as their education is. So if you take your kids and they're a part of all sorts of activities, they're going to get the socialization. Like, I mean, I value our community and the relationships we have in our co-op, that we see these people several times a week for hours on end. We call ourselves the lingerers because an event probably could go from like 11 to 2 and we'll stay till 6 because we just really enjoy each other's company. But they definitely have socialization. Like I said, college admissions seek out homeschoolers a lot of times. Academic achievement, like kids can take AP tests, they can get dual credit. So these opportunities are out there, but general public don't know that. And every now and then you see like these articles that go viral about a homeschool kid who graduated with their bachelor's degree before they were 20. Well, there are people in our community who have done that. And it's just a lot of dedication with the parents and the kids. Now, some kids want a traditional college experience, some don't. And that's the conversation between the kid and the parent and their goals, but it's not a limiting experience. And there are things homeschoolers are going to experience that traditional public school kids don't or won't. I know, like I said, my kids have gone to at least 36 to 40 field trips this year, to plants, to farms, to hiking. They've had a lot of hands-on experiences to things that public school kids will have different hands-on experiences. And I think both will have some type of new experience when they leave their educational setting from like their home or high school. So it's about what you as a parent are choosing to do for your kid. And these people who are wanting to give you advice, again, it's most of the time coming from a place of love and concern. But if you're doing your research, you'll confidently say, hey, you can go look at Harvard's, I don't want my kid to go to Harvard, but if they choose to, I'd support it. What their acceptance is for homeschoolers. Or I think I recently saw the North Carolina, University of North Carolina, they have a 47% acceptance rate for homeschoolers. That's pretty high. That's pretty incredible. And there's, again, Facebook groups that will help you navigate homeschooling through high school, homeschooling through high school in Texas, how to do your transcript, how to keep your credits aligned. So there are resources, and if you share that, that might limit some of those comments. So the next thing you can do is, you're understanding where they're coming from. You are willing to educate and inform them. And the next thing you can do is set some boundaries. Like I said, I'm a very no-nonsense person. And I'm just like, it's not your choice. Me and their daddy made the choice to homeschool, and it's none of your business. I always say I don't like to waste people's time. I definitely don't like to waste my time. So I'm not going to waste my time explaining to you why me and their father chose to homeschool our kids. And then you give them like a look. And if you give people direct eye contact and you stare them down, it usually makes them uncomfortable and they back down. So practice your look. Say it with a firm voice and no laughing so they can take you seriously. You could say something nice like, while I respect your concern and your input, me and my partner have chosen to homeschool our kids. I'll be happy to, educate and inform you, but it's not up for discussion. I don't need you to give my kids random pop quizzes. That's crossing my boundary. It's funny because Parker, and Kari, we were at the grocery store one time, and the person who was like stalking, they're like, "Oh, are you sick or playing hooky from school?" And Parker was like, "Well, we're homeschooling, so we don't go to school." And this person just like willy-nilly decided to like give her some multiplication problems. And so Parker was looking like, should I answer this? And I was a little bit down the ways. And so I saw them looking all kind of confused. And then Kari goes, we don't have to answer your questions. And then just walked away. So I guess if your kids see you confidently navigating those conversations, they're going to feel confident to say, I don't have to answer your pop quiz. And I also think when you give people like strong, confident answers, they are intimidated maybe to come back and ask you several times over. But these people aren't paying your bills. They aren't doing anything. So they don't need to have a say on what you do and how you educate your kids. So keep that in mind. Be confident in saying, I owe you nothing. I owe you no explanation. If I choose to educate and inform you, that's because I'm deciding to do that. But it's not because I owe you that. Next, you can find a community, whether it's in person or online. Like I love our co-op, and I'm also in I love our For the Culture co-op community. A lot of us have aligned beliefs and values, so that feels really good. We don't feel ostracized for being secular. And I like I'm in other groups. Like I go to the preschool co-op with my son. Oh my gosh, speaking of my son, this is going to go off topic. He's definitely in the stage, he's 3, telling all of my business down to the detail. And so when he gets with his little crew, they're sharing all their mama's business. So fun. Anyway, so like I said, you can find, whether it's like a co-op or just like meetup groups or park people, that's community, and you can have those conversations back and forth, right? Because they are in similar shoes that you are in. And you could do online communities. I've expressed my huge love for online communities, whether you're in like Facebook groups or on their content creators or just people, regular people who post on Instagram and TikTok that you can follow. Like I said, I comment on a lot of TikTokers, and then like we DM, same thing with Instagram, or like if I post a story or they post a story, we go back and forth. But it is nice, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can relate. I'm having a terrible day. But that doesn't mean I want to homeschool, because right, if you bring up these concerns in a non-homeschooling group, I feel like a lot of times it's like, well, you do have the option to put them in public school. You don't have to homeschool your kid. You don't have to put up with this. No, I do. I want to. I enjoy it. But it's also doesn't mean I can't say, man, this was a bad day, or man, I'm struggling, or oh, I feel overwhelmed today. And then tomorrow's a reset and I'm good. Only I think other homeschooler parents could fully understand that. So it's nice to have a community that you can celebrate with, and you can also complain with, because again, I think that'll give you that feeling of being supported, especially when you don't have family and friends who get it, who get why you're doing this, who are choosing not to get it or even offer you any grace in this journey. Because again, it may be something you stick to, it may not be something you stick to, but in the moment, you want to feel like you have people to lean on. Lastly, just stay confident and positive. Remember your why, on why you chose to homeschool, why this was the right decision for you and your family. Because the more we are confident in our decision, it'll be easier to navigate the criticisms and the negative comments about your homeschooling journey. And if someone comes up to you and is like, well, what about their socialization? You can say, well, actually, confidently, you say, actually, homeschooling offers a plethora of opportunities for kids to socialize. In fact, my kid is thriving socially and academically. So what are they going to say to that? Nothing. So be confident in your response. Because when you use words like plethora or many opportunities, and you can just go like bam, 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 then there's nothing else. There's no other way we can navigate this conversation other than shutting it down. Oh, and before I close out this episode, I want to empower you. If you are, if you're listening, you should be secular and progressive. I want you to understand that the negative stereotypes and the comments and the misinformation that most people have is because of what homeschooling is looked at. It's usually very white, very Christian, very fundamentalist, oftentimes a lack of science, and not always, but a lot. And so that's the uphill battle we're facing being secular, progressive homeschooling families. So I do want to empower you to have these conversations that we are far from that. We definitely are not white. We are Black. We are Latino. We are Asian. We are out here. We're not all Christian. We are wanting to offer our kids a diverse, inclusive, comprehensive education. And we all understand what is going on with politics, facing censorship in schools, and who that negatively impacts BIPOC students. So we're out here doing some work because of what's going on in society right now. So have those conversations. And I know when it comes down to censorship and banned books and CRT, we can say, you know what, this is how we're countering it. This is how we're being activists. And so that we can start educating people that it looks different now. And we are empowering ourselves to offer our kids an education, and we don't have to accept what is being given to us. All right, as I close out my first video episode, I'm supposed to interview my friend this week on video, so I need to see how I can do it on the computer or on our phones, and I don't know. That's something I'm going to figure out this week. So I'll have a video guest, hopefully, fingers crossed, next week. But I'm also just really excited about everything I learned. And again, to close out this episode, it is hard having conversations with friends and family who don't necessarily understand or believe in what you're doing. Just fine. Get rooted, get grounded on your why. And every day, every conversation, it will get easier. You know what you're doing in the sense of what's being the best interest of your kids. Trust that. Find community, find your confidence, set boundaries. Boundaries are so good. And I know family doesn't always respect boundaries, but uphold them. And each time you uphold them, it'll get a little bit better, and eventually they'll see you're not playing with them. And hopefully they'll jump on the bandwagon, or hopefully they'll just stop talking to you about it. But you're not the only one that's had to deal with those conversations, or people in your life having those conversations. But again, you owe nobody any explanation. You can just shut it down. I'm no longer talking to you about it. My kids don't need to be quizzed. Mind your business. So I thank you guys for joining the Secular Homeschool Revolution. Keep revolutionizing education. Keep revolutionizing homeschooling. And until next time. Oh, and please like and share. Like and share. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't be surprised if I pop up on Apple Music next week. It's moved up to my list on priorities. And then my friend Viho told me about Rumble, so I'm going to pop off here and go look at what Rumble's all about, because I have not seen that one mentioned in any of the podcast groups, but I'm definitely interested in getting my content out there more. Thank you for stopping in.